right, here we are. I think it's after Porter 38, right?
Hot diggity damn. Better late than never.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And we could tell because it's taken us an hour of talking to get to start recording.
Yeah, you know.
Is that it?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
We had to cross a river. It was hard.
Yes, we did have some delays. There's some family stuff I was going through. So when you're hearing this, I think this comes out on the 11th.
Yeah.
And then back on schedule, ideally.
Yep, so Emily was good enough to listen to all the episodes back so she can lead us through this after party.
It never goes well when I try and lead.
Well, I'll take over.
That's why we like it. Chaos.
I was going to say.
Well, it starts with Dreg teleporting everybody except me.
Wait. Are you going to go over the title of the episodes? John usually has that ready,
yeah.
really right at the top,
Uh-oh.
Emily.
Yeah,
Session
okay.
112, called Chapter 3 Begins.
So creative.
That is the most accurate title we have ever.
That's right. Spot on.
Wow, creative
And it
genius.
starts with Dreg teleporting everybody away from me,
That's right.
leaving me behind.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Dreg is such a jerk.
What an asshole.
I think he's a sharp
Who told
fella.
him to do that? Jeez.
Where does his allegiances really lie?
We will never know.
We'll know.
He's a deep scion.
And during the teleport, Falzarin briefly heard Alamar's voice. We
Oh,
call
yeah.
that foreshadowing. And you went to the keep, and Shaft tried to convince the others that was all part of the plan, and
That's right.
I, being Shakara, knew what was going to happen, and I was fine with it.
And did you know what was going to happen, and were you fine with it?
No.
I would argue, and I will
Yeah,
to some extent,
Yeah.
that you did mention prior that you would join the coven to get the scapulet off of Falzarin. And while we were in talking to Isabella,
She said it in private, though. You didn't hear that.
no,
Shaft.
she said it in the when we were sleeping, or when we were in the tiny hut, I believe.
Said it to Sparky when you guys
Sparky.
were sleeping, and you didn't hear me.
You shouldn't have heard her.
But I did say to Isabella in front of you some things.
Absolutely, very clearly. You and Mia were arguing over who was most the better person to be put into the coven, actually.
Not exactly what we were arguing about, and I think it was more two powerful people butting heads to be top dog.
Oh, yeah, I didn't want in the coven.
And at that time, I didn't particularly want in the coven either. It was more, I wanted to be more powerful than Mia.
Essentially, and we can get into all this, but there's two reasons that Shaft wanted to leave Shakara behind. He doesn't trust her because he thinks she's in to join the coven for the power. And secondarily, when we saw sort of a happenstance, we saw that Alamar was actually Sardos. Time to get the hell out of there. So, boom, we're gone.
Yeah, you left me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you decided that you wanted to still be in an alliance with us, what better way to get information on what she's trying to do than to stay? It's not like I could say, hey, Shakara, play along with her, and later on we'll hook up in the middle of that little interchange with Isabella, right?
And as far as you knew, that's what I was going to do.
Could be.
Okay, anyway, so you teleport away and leave me behind.
That's right.
And you go to the keep.
Knowledge Center.
That's what I meant. You went to the Knowledge Center because that's where Dreg took you. And you went to look for Grimby. And Dreg wanted to check on the anchors, which were now weapons.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, Grimby.
And everything goes swimmingly.
Where the hell is Chum?
Where is Chum?
I mean, Chum, he could barely just walk, right? He's
Yeah, he
he's
can't
so
do anything.
feeble-minded. Somebody has to be leading him around, right?
Right.
It wasn't
Yeah.
it's not like he's just out, wandering the streets, running into the side of buildings. Somebody's helping him out.
like a Roomba bumping up against a chair.
A chumba.
It's
a chumba now.
I thought he was a hostage, like in the room you were trying to see that we never really saw
Yeah.
into.
I thought for sure he was going to be held hostage in there.
I did too, yeah.
Well, then where do you think he is?
I think he's back at Janella's house,
He's got to be at Janella's house.
Hopefully.
Hopefully
Or wandering the
he's at
streets
Janella's
like a
house.
chumba.
which we'll get to later. But one of the reasons Shaft wanted to go to Janella's house rather than back to the keep where we just escaped from. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll put a little pin in that because I have things to say about that too. John and I did have an argument earlier this evening, by the way, about
It
all of
wasn't
this.
an argument. It was me telling you the right thing, and you just weren't agreeing with it.
No.
I think the listeners, just like myself, could pick up on that.
So you found metal dogs and toy soldiers.
Sure did.
Barely an inconvenience.
Other than the fact that most of us were close to death.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
like,
That was the bad side.
I had 11 hit points or something.
Yikes. I didn't realize how low you all were, but them's the breaks. That's what a PA adventure means.
I'm probably jumping the gun, but, like, I legit thought Mia could have died. And she really could have. Slava saved me, right?
I thought Falzern was going to bite it, actually, because he was down pretty low.
Yeah, I was under 10,
But I
I
was
think.
2 failed
something like
death
that.
saves already.
But you're all very fortunate that our good buddy Ape Zarin came to the rescue.
I gotta be ready with the rest of your ape names just in case they ever happen.
Yeah.
I did write down that the glass solarium at the top of the knowledge center is fireproof, according to Falzern.
Yeah, I remember that. So
Historically,
we didn't want to go
though,
up the top,
it's a
right? So we
different
went down
story.
to the level below. That's right. That's right. Glass breaks.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the plan, at least from Shaft's perspective, was to go down to the floor underneath, throw the grappling hook up, climb up, and see what, through the glass dome or whatever. I don't think we even knew what it was a glass dome at the time. Oh yeah, we did because we've been up there, and see who was there. Because I was really looking to see if Grimby was being held hostage, like we all believed.
Yeah, I pictured him tied up in there. Yeah.
But then when we saw the what's his name, the gnome
Tinnerman.
dude, Tinnerman was up there. I think Shaft's thought was, think of him like in a little bottle, bust a hole in it, throw a fireball in, and boom, you got it figured out, right? Unfortunately, Falzern was near death, so we got to use the drag the I can't climb a rope.
That was
Guy.
terrible.
It's like a DC 5 to get up that rope, and he rolls
Come
like
on,
a 2.
Drag.
Well, fortunately, he cast that
Wall of
shield
Force.
spell or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
before trying to climb.
Almost like he knew he was going to fall.
Yeah.
Because wasn't that a redo? Like, after you knew you were going to fall, you decided?
Yeah. I tweaked what happened because, like, at the time he fell, and I let him do it
We
as
had
like
an
a
argument
reaction.
about that too.
So, we had a big argument about this today.
Oh,
I was
Okay.
there for
Emily
the
said-
original
Emily said-
recording.
I'm like,
Emily
why are they
said,
pointing?
Drake went in and she cast this down, and then he climbed up the rope and he fell on it. And I go, no, that's not
No.
what happened at all.
Leland knew he fell and decided to do it, and we just edited it to sound.
And I
Son
wasn't
of
there
a
for the
bitch.
original recording, so I didn't know that. I only knew what I heard
Right.
on the
So I was
podcast.
very adamant about it, and then I go, fine, let's go listen. And we listen, and I'm like, that's not how it happened.
Because she wasn't there. Yeah.
I go, I guess
Well,
I'm wrong.
Then I did a pretty
Well,
good job of
you did a good
splicing it in.
Well, yeah.
The most important thing to note here is I was right, Emily.
Was that the
Uh-huh.
main point
Uh-huh.
of your argument there, or what?
The first argument, yeah.
Oh, the first argument.
first.
What? Hold on.
Here's my thinking and justification for doing so. One, in the moment, I let him cast Wall of Force basically as a reaction like you would Featherfall, which isn't correct. So he wouldn't fall 4 stories and die. So my main point is, think of the intelligence that Dreg has as a wizard. Same even with Falzarin, and when Bill is role-playing as Falzarin, both of these two characters have intelligence much higher than myself or Bill. So it stands to reason that they would be able to utilize their spells in a way that, as a person, I may not immediately jump to because of the heightened IQ that both of these characters should theoretically have, just even based off of what their stats would end up being. So that's kind of how I just justified, like, Dreg, I mean, there's no way Dreg would climb up 4 stories out on a rope being the man he is without
Protection.
without having a fail-safe.
He had hatred in his heart, though. He really wanted to go up and kill
That's
them.
actually a good point, too. Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that's fair, though. Like, if I were a spindly little weakling wizard who's not good at climbing
If you
ropes,
were, or wait.
and if I try and put myself in their shoes, and I lean out the window and I'm like, if I fall, I'm dead.
Right.
And I had access to Wall of Force, you better believe I'd be casting Wall of Force as like
Or
a
something,
safety net. in
Wouldn't
case
it be
I fell,
nice
'cause-
if there was floor there? Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom. So that's how I justify it, anyways.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And I also didn't want rules corrections from Ian. Thanks, Ian.
That's hilarious.
Truth comes out.
So instead of being able to climb up and fireball the room, you instead discovered a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Bill said, we're now officially playing Dungeons and Dragons.
That's right.
Yes, that was a good line.
I can't believe it took so long to get some. I mean, it's not even an actual dragon either. Like, does it
Right.
actually really count? It's like a.
Have we
it's
been
like
in
a
a dungeon, though?
No.
It's a construct.
Yeah,
I feel like
True.
I feel like we're good. We can scratch that one off the list. No need to.
Yeah, it's so good.
That's not a real dragon. That doesn't
Bill
count.
doesn't like killing dragons.
It's true.
Well, and we also got the John line, it's also okay to run.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, mm-hmm. That's true.
People
Mia
forget
doesn't
that.
like that, though.
Even as DMs, they sometimes forget. Even like a group of goblins, they don't always fight to the death.
Yep.
Right? 2 or 3 of them die,
That's exactly how Thuff joined.
and a good adventuring party will know when it's time to run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
so
are
that's
we
always
a
the
good
hardest thing
adventuring party?
I find. You can never bank on your players running. Even when it's as so obvious to you that they'll run from this. They won't run from it. Just
Yeah.
don't
Right.
build your encounters around thinking they're going to run, because they won't, and you'll TPK them.
That's
Like,
right.
That's like 101. That's DM 101.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that anecdote before, that like as a DM, don't bank on your players running from an encounter.
I mean, you got to look at it like what your character would do. If you're faced with something that's obviously going to kill you, you're going to go. You're going to at least hide.
I feel like some of the characters around here wouldn't. I don't think Shakara and Mia would run.
I don't think so
I
either.
never really thought about running, let's be
Aldrin
honest.
I think you have to be smart enough as a character to know
Okay.
that I'm not saying as a player, I'm saying as a character to know that this thing I am not going to beat and I will die.
I think the difference for Shakara is there somebody to protect? As long as somebody else is there that could potentially get hurt, she will stay and fight.
I can.
But
give
if
you
everybody
that.
else has run, then she'll run.
Yeah.
Mia's a little bit tripping on her power after that
Right.
Kraken, so.
But there's even a point in time where Mia would say, I don't have any spells left. I'm not going to stay here with my sword and try to stab this dragon.
Yes,
Because I know I'm
eventually.
dead.
But it would take a bit for her to get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Shaft, on the other hand, will run.
In
If
2
he-
seconds.
Well, no, I think he'll stay as long as he thinks he has the advantage. But once
Well,
he feels
yeah.
he doesn't have the advantage,
That's
he's
what I
out.
meant. Yeah.
Oh, and even in that fight, Shaft maneuvered around to give himself continued advantage during the combat itself too. While you did you more or less tactically retreated from the main room, and it opened up the battlefield, and it let you control more, or
Right.
try to control what more of the enemies did.
It's a tactic, right? Funnel your enemies into an area where you can take them out one by one
Right.
if you can, or in this case, the dragon, put him in a disadvantage.
And then the dragon had the great tactics to put you all in a line right in a window. So
Yep, that's a DM's job.
What a jerk. Dragon is such a jerk.
yeah, Falzarin, walk to the window and help Dragon.
Well, I wrote down, Bill said, I'd like to roll for cover in a corner. John said, that's a free action. And Elena said, isn't that called blink?
Yeah. Leland, you make a valid point about Falzarin being more intelligent than me. Let's just say that.
So in future episodes, we could go back and retroactively have you do smarter things.
That's right.
It makes
The
sense.
magic of editing.
Yeah.
Well, the dragon you encountered was apparently very charming.
Mm-hmm.
Or you all are very unwise.
Yeah, either or.
I have very high wisdom. Hello, cleric.
I think that's honestly what.
Still got charmed.
I didn't
Yeah,
get charmed.
Yeah, you did.
I did?
All of you did. Everyone
I
failed
knew
that charm.
I was going to say, I knew Shaft and people were like attacking me.
And you smacked
For the
Shaft
first round.
really good.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I threw Hunter's Mark on you, too. I was going to take you out if I could.
Yeah. I think
Basically
that's what added the challenge to that fight. I think, like, if you had all saved, it would have been easy, right? Like,
Right.
a dragon would have went down quick. I mean, with the thunderstorm outside and the fireballs that Dreg hurled at it, channeling divinity 50 hits at a time, 2 rounds in a row, like that's a huge chunk of that dragon's hit points, right? Like it was near death after you guys beat the hell out of it.
Poor dragon.
Poor guy.
That's the challenge, right, for a DM, right? If you have one thing that we're all hitting, we're doing a shitload of damage to that one monster rather than a whole bunch of... We've talked about this before.
Of course.
Yeah, but it's really tough for you to be able to balance the danger because it can do a lot of damage, and so can we, but you
Yes.
don't know how that's going to play out. And it came very close.
Right, but to your credit as players, the way that encounter was crafted and the way I had tried to predict where and when it would take place, I compensated for that because had you went to the anchor room, you would have been dealing with the soldiers, Tinnerman, and the dragon all at once. But because of your smart play and RP, you were able to mitigate that for at least a couple of rounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you allowed yourself, using your strategies, to reconnaissance, right? Basically, that's what also kept you alive. So that's also great playing as well.
Yeah, if we had been in the upper room,
That
that would have been a lot worse.
We would have been dead.
And I don't think that I realized that he had that planned for us until he said after recording, like, if you guys would have been all in that room, you would have died. Like, I don't know. I don't remember thinking that in the moment.
You did say, do you think we could all die? We could all die.
Yeah, I probably did. Sounds about right.
Like I said, I think Shaft from a character is always trying to look for how to get the advantage and how not to attack directly. Mia as a character is more, got my hammer, I got my lightning, let's go in and do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this party so interesting because you have to balance all of those things. In some instances, your approach is much better. In some instances, the sneaky approach is much better.
Well, like, pride comes before the fall sometimes. Like, one of these times, Mia's going to think she's got it and get swamped, right? So...
I also, I think, like, the might that you wield is a good fallback for when Shaft's approach doesn't work either, right?
Right.
So that it is a two-pronged thing the party itself has going, really, especially with Shakara and Mia up front. Like, whatever they're hitting on is going down so fast.
Yep.
Once I get my magic sword.
Well, we'll see about that.
Magic.
Falzarin went down, and then Falzarin came back again.
Yeah.
And Falzarin was going to do something, and Leland said, "Can I exposit for a moment before you commit to doing something?"
Can I get that on a t-shirt?
And then Ape Zarin was born.
That was fun.
That was
I
dope.
really enjoyed
Yeah, that was awesome.
And that was the end of 112.
Feels good to be beefy, eh?
I've always been, well, I've talked about this before as well, but I've always been reluctant to use it on Falzarin because that makes him into a melee character. And once he drops to 0 hit points, he's now a wizard up in melee range, which is bad news.
Then you can blink.
Yeah, blink.
Yeah, hopefully.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think you used it mainly for the hit point bonus, right?
Well, I was almost dead anyway, so like I had no other choice.
Yeah, you rolled a natural 20 on your death save and came up with 1 hit point. So yeah, you would have been went right back down, underneath the dragon's maw. But you could blink yourself and then polymorph yourself. I mean, it would take you 2 rounds to do it, but
Yeah, you're right. I could.
But then, if you're going to be a giant ape with a huge boatload of hit points, what's the point?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would keep him around a lot longer. Like that would make him even more OP than he already is.
True.
I'd never thought of that. Oh, Leland.
That no concentration on that blink just makes it so good.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's
so
nuts
good.
that it just fires off for, what is it, 10 rounds?
I think so.
Yeah. For a
So
minute.
for once on an after party, Leland's giving us ideas? What?
That must be feeling charitable. 2021. Maybe that's the way this year will go.
Everybody gets one. There's yours, Bill.
Well, 2021's not the year you put sleeves back on, I see. So, you know.
Not yet. No. When hell freezes over.
And Bill promptly forgot that suggestion from Leland,
Write it down.
as he does.
Write it down.
Okay, session 113 is called Critically Rolling. The dragon and dogfight continues.
Yeah, this episode was bonkers, the amount of crits. Totally
It was
bonkers.
ridiculous.
Yeah, let's see. Where did I write
Even
that
I
down?
finally had one.
Didn't you
John crit
roll
twice, I think, in that episode.
an
With
advantage
advantage.
roll and
Mhm.
both of them were 20s?
Yep.
I did, and I took a picture of it and posted it.
The odds of that are like,
Well,
that is
one of
wild.
One of the toy soldiers did the same thing, and both were ones. Or two attacks, and both were ones. So we
Yeah.
were fucking all over the place this episode.
Yeah, the dice were with us in that battle for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Leland said, "No, Emily, we are rolling great." Elena said, "It's true. She's cursed. She's cursed."
Yep.
And Bill said, "She is the secret sauce to the bad rolling."
I
Made me
stand
feel
by what
so
I said.
loved.
I don't think we even need to talk about this. I think anybody that watches any of our streams knows that this is the case.
It's just the facts, Emily. We love you. But
That's right.
Was it in this episode that Elena was like, "Fudge muffin, Emily"?
yeah, I might have. Yeah. I said fudge muffin.
Yes.
It's not usually one of my go-tos.
I mean, of course, like the three of you were in this fight, you as players and characters, having no fucking idea what or where Shakara is or what's
No
happening
idea.
to her.
Right.
Like, yeah, pretty cool.
That Abe Zarin took out the dragon.
That's right. I remember, I think Abe Zarin was underneath the dragon at the time. And I can't remember. My plan was to run out and try, I was trying to come up with some way to circumvent that, to give him an opportunity to get out. I can't remember what it was, but I thought he was dead. I really didn't think there was much way out of that. Because when Abe Zarin goes down, then Bill's dead, right?
Yeah, I was in a very, very dangerous situation and dangerous location. If things had went differently, it could have been very bad.
Because you were low on hit points as Abe Zarin too, right?
Not yet.
I got took down eventually to, I still had a half decent amount left, but he took a fair bit of damage.
Oh, okay.
But Mia went down.
Yeah. Maybe because I was worried about myself. I was never worried about Falzern. Whoa.
The Abe Zarin smashed a mechanical dog to bits.
Mm-hmm.
Alstoff came out of the upper room and saw what was going on and recognized Shaft and sent his toy soldiers after y'all.
I remember what I was trying to do. I was thinking about how the manacles work, but I was thinking of backwards.
Oh, right.
My plan was to jump on, grab one of these things, go over the side towards
Right.
as I'm falling, and then shoot back up to where Mia was to be able to help. And, I'm glad I didn't actually do that.
Right, like we could change who wears them. Like Mia could be the one on, but it makes the most sense that you tend to be at a distance and I tend to be melee, and I would want to snap
Right.
out of melee, right?
Absolutely.
But we could discuss after this fight switching
That came
it.
in handy already with the Kraken fight, but I
Right.
think that those manacles have come in really handy. They just don't work the way I thought they were.
Yeah,
The way I was thinking at that time.
that would have been nice to go both ways.
But yeah, and then little Alstoff coming out. Yeah, I wanted to, well, I think you'll get to it, but I wanted to take him down, but I didn't want to take him out.
Yeah, you guys wanted to take him hostage.
Yeah,
I wanted to rip his limbs off.
Well, you
Yeah, I
didn't want
know.
to rip his limbs off.
Sorry,
Yeah.
what a tear him in half.
I don't remember because I haven't listened to it since it came out, but wasn't it my idea to keep him hostage? And you guys thought that was weird for me, but I thought I was just
I was good with it.
I was just being smart, I thought, but I don't know. Maybe it was a poor character choice.
Does Isabella, think of the value he has to her or to Samuel Cultus.
Huge bargaining piece.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I didn't actually. My intent as Ape Zarin, I wasn't intending to actually rip his arms off, but scare him into thinking that I was going to.
You wanted to, like, Gumby him.
Yeah, it didn't work near as well when he was not awake for me to do that intimidation.
I'll intimidate him.
You intimidated too much.
I mean, he could build mechanical
arms,
arms for himself.
Intimidated too hard.
He'd be cool to be like a mechanical man, hybrid.
Yeah, but that's the age-old question: is what comes first, losing the arms or building the mechanical replacements?
I mean,
replacements first, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you better think ahead on that.
That's the chicken and the egg right there.
Some body parts laying around your shop just in case.
Age-old question.
So I just checked. Ape Zarin got down to 60 hit points.
Oh, dude,
which is
fine.
Which is still a lot, but he starts with, I think it's 157.
I wasn't worried about him. Psh.
Oh my gosh,
he's a beast.
You were fine.
You're fine.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that Slava was there. Like, if Slava wasn't there, Mia's dead.
Yeah, he gave you that health potion. I got you back out.
That's nuts to me that I almost lost 2 characters in this campaign, and I love Mia. Please don't.
Did you go down on that one?
Yeah, I had 2 failed death saves.
Yeah.
Oh.
She almost
and then
died.
he gave me a potion.
Died.
I was literally, like, sweating at the thought of rolling that last D20 again, like before, right? Like,
not again.
I
not
know.
like this.
I
Not
really,
like this.
it felt very stressful.
It was a good fight.
Because we don't know what Slava has. Like, maybe he didn't have a potion. Leland made it happen. Not going to question that, but...
Don't peek behind the curtain.
No, I don't want to know.
We don't talk about it.
Oh, man.
Do Tritons have pockets?
It was in his swim trunks.
Tritons are
They have flesh pockets.
Yeah, Tritons are marsupials. They have they got a front pouch.
It's like a mermaid skin.
Male Tritons carry the young just like seahorses.
That's right.
There you go.
Fanny pack.
He keeps a
building.
vial up his... Never mind.
So on that note, you hear a knocking on the door. Knock, knock, knocking on the chamber door from down below.
Which is never good.
And we cut back to Shakara.
Poor Shakara.
Now, can you talk about anything on the Shakara episode with us?
Yeah, we were
here?
allowed to listen, right?
No.
I didn't listen.
Oh, maybe I
Not,
didn't.
not to the stuff with Shakara and Izzy, but this section of her.
There was one line that they probably shouldn't hear.
Well,
Okay.
the benefit of having 0 short-term
I don't
memory is
remember.
that...
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure I didn't listen.
Basically, I left the keep, and I was going to run to the knowledge center because that was the last place I knew Grimby was. And along the way, I saw Salardos uniting the wizards, saying there's still an enemy on the island. And he was headed towards the knowledge center, so I thought, well, that must be where you guys are. So I tried to run ahead of him, and I got to the door, and it was locked. And I tried to bust it down, and it was locked. And somebody said, there's a door around the back. So I ran around the back, and we busted that door in, and I ran upstairs. And that's the end of 113.
There you go.
Such a good one.
I genuinely felt for Shakara while we were playing this. Like, I felt so bad.
You left me.
Why?
I know.
Why
Poor
would
Shakara.
I'm going to examine this a little bit. Why would Falzarin feel
This
so
was
bad
the
about
other
Shakara?
No,
argument
Bill
we
felt
had.
bad.
What was
Bill
what
felt
was the
bad. That's
hold
important
on? What's
you
the
said that.
basis of the argument that you had?
This.
That we shouldn't feel
why,
bad?
Why do Mia and Falzarin trust Shakara?
Why should we
Exactly.
trust her?
Why do they? Yeah. And actually, maybe we should wait till the end of discussing 114
yeah,
to talk
I
about
want
it.
I want you to think about, before you say that, everything that transpired in the keep.
Yeah, like I will concede the point that it might be a little bit illogical, but I still felt bad.
It's because Shakara's hot. That's it.
Yeah,
It's true.
And dragon-born boobies.
Physically and literally on
those
fire.
scaly boobs.
All that cleave.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think you've got to, like, you're not off base, John. There have been some things to suggest that maybe Shakara's there's a possibility that she might have some ulterior motives, or that there's the possibility that she could be a little bit susceptible to unlimited power.
Exactly. I think the difference between you and the situation you were in with Isabella is you were put in a situation where you had no choice.
Yeah.
She has a choice, and she's choosing it. And she's saying to everybody in front of her that she's willing to choose that. Our goal going into that keep was to take out Isabella, but that was not the time to do it. Our plan was not to go there and do that right then. We got put in that situation. So Shaft said, let's get out of here.
I think I need to refresh my memory. But
I don't think it's totally unreasonable sorry, go ahead.
Well, as far as I know, does Mia and Falzarin know that she joined the coven?
She didn't say it.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, yeah, we'll get
we
to
talk
that.
about 114.
Right.
But I need to listen to the keep again, the part where you guys are there before you teleport out, to see what exactly I said. I don't think I said...
You didn't commit, for sure.
I will join the coven.
So you didn't commit, we run into you on the stairs, and then you try to vouch for us and help us. That's why in the moment I trust you, because from what Shaft said, I know the type of character Shaft is. He admitted to leaving you there as an inside person. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just, in that moment, to trust Shaft or to trust Shakara, and she's vouching for us in front of soldiers, like...
Yeah, but so in that moment where Shakara arrived, with the mob behind her back, the only thing keeping them at bay temporarily in that moment, Shaft's lie, I could see Shaft saying, well, this was something she and I worked out, completely playing into that. At the moment, obviously, right? Like, I think Shaft sold it well enough on Shakara's behalf without even really trying to in that specific instance, really. Shaft's too good at his job.
It boils down to who do you trust, right? And I can see how you might not... I can see how Falzarin would... I would think, and this is just me, I'm not telling anybody how to play their character or anything. I would think Falzarin would believe, with his experiences with Shaft, be a little more on Shaft's side than Shakara's side, especially since just probably 3 or 4 days before, Keck and Shakara would basically wanted to kill him.
But Shakara has saved his life several times, too.
Do you think there's any empathy towards the situation Shakara is in, though, where he might feel like she feels just like he did? There's no choice.
But there's a difference.
But is
he
there, though?
He didn't have a choice. Yes, because in the keep,
I don't think there is. We left her alone.
You don't know. You don't know what Isabella did to me in the keep.
I don't.
If I had a choice or
I'm
not.
just saying, what's the difference between Falzarin being kidnapped, being alone, and feeling like he had no choice, and what we did
he was strapped to a table and told if he didn't do it, they'd basically kill him.
Shakara's surrounded in a keep full of people.
No, Shakara said, I'll join your coven. If you take
Again,
this off
you
of
don't
his
know
chest.
that.
I don't think she said that.
You said it in the keep.
I don't remember what I said
You said it
in the
very
keep.
clearly in the keep. You said, I will join the coven if you take this off of his chest. And you said, we had a conversation
Can we
about
replay
the other
that?
sister.
Because we need to pause and replay that, because I don't remember hearing that.
There was...
Well,
it
we'll
may
ask
not have
Leland.
been
We'll ask Leland.
verbatim, but I think there was something similar to that said by Shakara. And it was more so, from my perspective, it was more so her saying, if need be, if that's the only way that she'll let Falzarin free, I will take his place, sort of thing.
She did.
Is how I remember it.
It wasn't like, oh, goody, I get to join the coven. It was
Doesn't matter.
last
I mean,
resort.
it
It's
doesn't
a
matter.
difference.
I think
there's
there's a
there.
difference.
We were going in to kill Isabella, and before it was all done, it was, hey, I will become one of the sisters, essentially.
Okay, well, in Mia's perspective,
You're simplifying it.
yes,
I'm just telling you what Shaft believes.
Mia
From what
doesn't
he
fully
heard.
trust either of you, but Mia does believe there's more coercion to it, and that Shakara, deep down, wants to do the right thing, and once joining, could still turn on Isabella. I mean, Isabella turned on her own sister within the coven, right?
But I will say,
Yeah.
Shaft left the option open of, if she comes back to us, and she's truly not, and gives us information on what Isabella's trying to do,
Yeah.
Which I
then maybe
did.
she's still on our side.
Which I did.
Yeah.
Maybe. She's still on our side.
Maybe, but that's still better than just saying that we shouldn't feel bad that we left her there, because I really do think that it was very heavily implied, but not committed to, that she was joining this coven, and then we left her there helpless.
Yes.
You can say it's a choice. She was pretty dang helpless.
I stand by Shaft's
How is
decision.
is she gonna sprout wings and just fly out of there or turn invisible? Like, there was no way.
I don't think Isabella was going to kill Shakara. She wanted Shakara part of the clan, part of the coven, and Shakara wants the
Okay,
power.
so let's say Isabella did sedate her, subdue her, Shakara tried to run, because you don't know what happened, and then
Right.
she joined the coven.
Yeah.
Like, we should feel bad for her.
Okay, I'll feel bad for her, but I don't trust her.
You don't have to, but the argument was we should feel bad for leaving Shakara, and I think we should.
Okay, that's all right.
Session 114
Bill,
is called
wait a
Bound.
second. Bill, what do you think?
I need to
move
stretch.
on.
No,
That
Bill's
was-
been quiet. I want to get this out just to
I'm
know.
scared to say anything.
Look, it all doesn't matter. It's great. It's great story, regardless of how this plays out. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there are parts of me, and I think parts of Faltern as well, that see both sides and are a little bit unsure. You know, I think Faltern's probably more leaning one way than the other, but it is not words.
I think Falzarin is thinking about his own feelings towards what happened to him and projecting that onto Shakara. And
I
therefore
agree.
feeling sorry for Shakara because of what happened to him.
And also thinking that, you know, if Shakara is what she says she is, and her allegiances lie where she says they lie, she was pretty selfless in offering herself up to free me from this terrible situation. Right? There's always the possibility that Shakara is playing that up and actually is more interested in power than anything else, and is kind of trying to trick us. Like, I think Falzarin has considered and that possibility, and it's in the back of his mind.
I mean, granted, if that's the case, we can use her for what we need to do.
That would be very Shaft thing to do. But yes, yeah, no, that's true.
Mia's not far behind from, like, literally in the keep before all this. I'm saying I feel bad we left her and that she maybe didn't have a choice. But I was also pointing the finger and saying, this is the thing you just were saying is wrong, and now you're saying it's okay because Dendar, right?
Saying what was wrong. Right.
Well, like, she was saying, you know, we're blaming and wanting to kill Isabella, and then you find out Dendar's all connected, and you're like,
Right. That's
Yeah.
another good point.
I know, it's all very
So
great.
session 114 is called Bound.
I'm just saying, like, you know,
We discussed the length of Abe Zarin's back hair.
Oh, so we're changing the subject is what's
Trying
happening.
to
Yes.
move on. Yes.
Moving right along.
I mean, we're making great time. It's fine.
We'll hit on this again.
We will
in the
come
last
back to
episode.
this. It will come back around because this is when all this stuff happened at the end of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
episode.
Emily and I have already had this discussion.
Obviously, wow.
Discussion.
Yes.
Quotation.
It was a heated debate.
Sounds like you guys discuss things the way Elena and I discuss things as well.
Sometimes. Okay, session 114.
Let's clap again.
Session 114, damn it.
Okay.
It's called Bound.
Bound.
Bound chicken.
Well,
wow,
we gotta
wow.
ask.
Okay.
Leland, title?
Why is it called Bound? Did someone join a coven?
Poor Falzarin.
Yeah, falls in Alamar.
Bound to Alamar now.
He had, what,
Oh, man.
3 hours, maybe?
So we leave the knowledge center. Mia and Slava and Dreg rode down on Ape Zarin's back.
Hmm.
And Shaft and Shakara climbed down the rope. And Shaft did a fancy little twirl and tumble at the bottom and impressed a passing wizard.
Indiana Shaft. That's what I call it. It's the first time I've got to use my whip. I'll say that the whips have been really cool in theory, but everything I've come up against has been so much bigger than me that if I grappled it, it would just yank me towards it.
Yeah.
So every time I go, I want to use these whips. Not against a kraken.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, an opportunity to use the whip to swing and be a little impressive to a passerby. Well, I couldn't pass up.
How did I forget about the Alamar thing? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Emily, it's your job to pop in there.
I was reading what I wrote to try and figure out what it meant.
What meant?
I confronted Shaft and Dreg about leaving me, but deposit to deal with Salardos. Oh, drop it. That's what that says. Drop it to deal with Salardos. Dreg put up a wall so that we could flee out the window, and Salardos said, "Take down this wall."
Bill, we got a problem with this Revenant, right? Revenant.
Yeah, we sure do.
You have done literally nothing to actually try to solve it either. Like, I know there's way more pressing stuff that you've been dealing with, but like, there's zero like ground to try to get them.
It keeps popping up, right? I think we both think if we just ignore it, it'll go away eventually.
Yep. Hopefully.
But apparently not.
Well, I did call him out by name, and I said, "Sardo, do not include these innocent people in your vendetta," hoping that maybe people would take a second look at who they were standing next to and be like, why is she calling him Sardo and not Alamar? But apparently they didn't pick up on that.
Why would they not think, who's this crazy dragonborn calling names that we have no idea who she's talking to? As opposed, like, why would they lean one? No, I totally worth a try, but like, why would they lean towards?
Because we were the ones that saved the city, and some of them saw us doing such, and maybe would recognize that.
And Alamar's been the one running the city for centuries, right?
But, and I guess he hasn't really been acting off.
In saving the city, they didn't
us.
know that behind the scenes Alamar was going to become a lich and all this stuff. We didn't like broadcast it.
Right,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the fact that Alamar was leading them to attack the people who just saved the city, maybe that would give them pause if I called him by a different name.
Well, you did initially say Alamar, and I said, that's not Alamar. And you said, I know.
Right, and I should have been calling him Sardo from the start.
To me, it's like the only two people that would know that is Falzarin and I.
Yeah, I didn't.
Right, and I do explain that to you later in the episode.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying at that point in time when you said that.
Right.
Hey, who knows? Maybe Shakara did plant seeds of some doubt amongst some of the Heracleonians.
Possible, yeah.
Yeah. That was my hope. I didn't expect them to completely stop. I was just like, maybe give them
immediately
pause.
turns on Salardo.
Yeah. So we we ride down on Abe Zarin's back, and we get to the bottom, and Dreg makes 4 of us invisible. And he was going to stay behind and expect the other 4 of us to run off to escape these people that were chasing after us. And I said, I'm not going to leave him behind, and he should come with us.
And there was a great clip cut out of that if you were a Patreon person, you would get to
It's
hear.
true.
That was probably one of the funniest things I've
So
heard in
good.
a long, long time.
It's our longest blooper for sure, because it's 3
Oh,
different
wow.
instances we reprised it.
So these back-to-back recordings. So like session 114 was like a single instance of recording, and it was probably the hardest edit I've had in 100.
We were super goofy, right?
Yeah,
We were messing around.
Ages.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous.
It was fun.
It's
though.
better than
I
when
had a
we're
lot
all
of fun.
pissed off, though. Like,
So Shaft says we should go to Janella's house, and I say no, we should go to the keep, knowing I can get us out of here. My thinking being, we don't know if these wizards are going to continue to come after us. We can't take an onslaught. We can't attack them because they're innocent people and they don't deserve to be killed. We need to just run from them. And if we go to Janella's house, we could get trapped and not be able to get out without a confrontation. If we go to the keep, I can get us out of here.
My Shaft's thinking was, I don't trust Shakara to take us right back to where we escaped from. Let's go find Grimby, and that's probably where he is.
And even if we went to the keep and then Isabella was still there, Isabella never tried to attack us. She wasn't going to attack us. She was enjoying inflicting pain
we're
on
little
Falzarin,
toys
yes,
she wants to play with.
but she wasn't going to kill us. But the wizards following us potentially would.
She said very clearly when we were in the keep that I don't have any reason to kill you.
Exactly.
Now, the inflection was on I, but there was other people, like people she's aligned with, like, what's his name? Sardos. I mean, she would have no problem with Sardos killing Shaft and Falzarin, right?
But she herself was not going to. She herself is not a threat.
Either way, she doesn't care that he does, and he's aligned with her.
She's still not going to attack us.
Why would Shaft go back to somebody who's
This was also part of the argument earlier.
Aligned with somebody who's willing to just watch you die? Right?
I wasn't saying align with her.
Let's just let John and Emily talk for another hour, and then we'll come back.
I think Emily and I have beat this to death, so I want to hear what Elena and Bill think about.
Yeah, but we all didn't hear you beat it to death.
No, but here's the thing.
We just summed it up right there.
Bill, do you have a problem with this person, being Isabella, being aligned with Sardos, who is obviously wants to kill both of us?
Yeah, super sketch.
Yeah, Sardo wanted to kill you.
Super sketchy.
Isabella did not. So running to the keep where Isabella was and away from Sardo was not a bad idea.
We're just so screwed.
But that's like saying, if you want to hand a known killer, you say, okay, this person has killed dozens of people in the past. Here you go. Here's a knife. I don't care what you do with it.
Exactly.
No, it's not. Because Isabella was not trying to kill us.
By what John is saying and what Shaft interpreted is like, by her, the way she was speaking, and she's complicit. She would be complicit in their deaths.
Yeah, she wasn't going to stop Sardo at all, and probably would enjoy watching the whole proceeding.
Weapons.
But
she's a killer.
Running to the keep where she is and Sardo is not a bad idea.
She's a
especially
killer.
Considering I have access to the portals and get us off the island.
The portals is what sold me. Because to be honest, I was like, we're not going to get arrested anytime soon around here. But Mia was very concerned about her promise she made to Grimby. And like how selfish she was to choose not to save him when she could have. And like, I was torn.
But you couldn't have because we didn't have him.
In my mind, it's like, terrible idea, but possible rest because of portals and leaving the island. Like, get the heck out of here.
And we can always come back through the same portal.
Nobody wants to leave more than Shaft.
Yeah.
But Shaft wanted to get Grimby.
Shakara wanted to get Grimby too. But right then, we were going to die.
I mean, the Christmas
Or
special
killed
cleared
people.
that relationship up, am I right?
So here's the other thing, too. What do your characters think about, like, the whole Janella, Tenchi, and, who was the third?
Hef.
God, Hef, eh?
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot about it. So, like, the three of them being instated as elders. Like, what do your characters think
That's
of that?
very unusual. Very unusual.
Don't have any idea why those three individuals of all of Heraklion would be chosen.
Because Leland wants to mess with us.
They were heroes of the battle. People saw them flying through the air and doing all they could to save Heraklion.
I can only think that they're somehow being manipulated.
Yeah, that's what I think as well.
Elena's like, oh great, Leland's just going to do this and not even know why, but he's just going to screw with us.
No.
Oh, believe me, I know why. And it's still me screwing with you.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I don't
So you believe that they have no true power, they're just going to be another pawn that Isabella likes to orchestrate and manipulate.
Well, of course. That's what Isabella's character is.
So it's another reason to come back to the island eventually and save more people. So
it's
they're
some
added
sort
to
of
the list of people that need to be
distraction
saved.
where maybe Isabella thinks that we will think twice about whether she's good or not, because there are, like, I don't know.
Exactly. I agree completely. I think it's a ploy to be able to.
Okay, so you think it boils down to optics, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think so. Overall, yes, because they're trusted people.
So it's to comfort us.
For you or for all of Heraklion?
Mainly for us.
For us as
So
well.
we don't
I have a
offer
strong
resistance?
suspicion that the motivation behind it hinges largely on Isabella knowing that we have some background with them.
Right. It hinges on us because Tenchi was running a freaking underground illegal thing. So, like, that's
Exactly.
that's not really good optics for the people, like, you know this guy down by the bay or whatever, like...
Down by the river. Exactly.
Right, and also Salardo was putting on a front as well, right? With the crowd they had gathered in the keep and all that stuff. So it's all playing into some type of show or, performance that Izzy's behind. Is that what you right? Like
she's trying to manipulate us, and if anybody knows how to manipulate people,
Dude, I mean,
Shaft.
knowing Leland...
It's John. Shaft.
Knowing Leland this whole time, he's got us focused on Isabella, coming back to Isabella, just for in chapter 3 to pull out the rug from under us, and it's someone else and something else and blah, 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 blah.
I mean, let's get into this episode, right? This episode we're talking about here. We're going to
I've been trying for like 20 minutes
we
now.
have the Nyogi. Now we're supposed to align and help Isabella and Samuel Culstus, which in chapter 1 and chapter 2 are the big bads. And we're supposed to help
He's
out.
always said, are we the good guys?
you to your character's perceptions, they were the big bads, but like
Absolutely.
right. So yeah,
That's what I have to go on.
Yeah. That's funny, Elena. The four of you could have killed Isabella on any, or tried to at least.
Yeah.
Any number of she could have been long dead. She could have been
I
dead
know.
in chapter 1, right? Like,
So I do finally convince you to go to the keep and go through the portal with me. And we try to go to the cave north of Zexa, and we can't. The way is blocked. So we go to... Because Gozer piled stuff up in front of that portal a long time ago. Oops.
so what else does that tell you as players, though?
Isabella hasn't been back there in a long
Exactly.
time.
Yep. Her little lair there.
It's more or less abandoned.
There's a bunch
So
of
we
little
go to
hands
the
and
one-
fingers still running around in there.
I called them. And that one is covered in dust, so she hasn't been back there in quite a while either.
Right.
So, but we, in the one in Goldham, Falsey tells us it's where he got his scabulet. And they know that, and they know of other portals they've been to.
All the books are gone. Everything
Yeah.
doesn't look necessarily the same way as it was last time we were there.
It's like Izzy's just going around and making portals and then abandoning them.
Because of Shaft's mistrust in Shikara at this point, would you guys be mentioning the other portals that you've seen that Shikara and Mia have not? Or would Mia just be oblivious then to...
That's all you've seen in it.
I think that was actually a bit of the conversation. Is like, well, how do you know about so many freaking
Well,
portals?
like, Mia didn't see Erica's
Yeah.
lair. Would you have told me about that, Shikara? How would I know?
I doubt it. The only person that would have said anything about that would have been Shaft or Falzarin, because they're the only two
Right.
that got out alive and are currently
Yeah.
alive.
Oh,
Shikara
right.
never
You
went down
met
to
her
Paradise.
after. Right. So,
Yeah.
Right.
again, like, you're probably keeping that information to yourself.
Shaft is not going to give you any information unless you ask him. And then he might.
Yeah, if it serves them, he will, right? But so
Right.
If you're
also
trying to
remember
convince me to not trust Shikara.
on the portal in Erica's coral urn, it was modified. It was different.
Yeah, there was a
It had
different
these
symbol.
6-pointed star, purple glowy stars on it too.
Yeah. Oh, that freaking dam with that symbol on it. Man, feels like
'Cause
forever.
There was some conflict there in the Coven,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
there still might be.
Well, we have no idea about Jessica yet, but Erica's not a problem anymore. At least we believe.
Oh, gosh.
Death doesn't mean you're done.
So where did we end up after
I've learned
Goldham?
anything.
Where
So
did
we
go?
get to the cave north of Goldham, and Mia flat out asks if Shikara joined the Coven, and I said I did what I had to do. But my alliances are still with Aspara.
Which, I mean...
And I said, I don't believe Izzy will try and go after Falzarin at all. I don't think she doesn't even care about him anymore.
what about the
He's
rest of
nothing to
us,
her.
though?
I don't think she has any reason to come after any of us. The only one she cares about is me.
I think Mia took that as a confirmation you are in the Coven, but Mia this whole time is all about joining you guys to fight. Like, her whole thing was to protect Aspara. So, I mean...
Nyogi.
And Nyogi focused as well. So, I mean, that sentence right there saying, my alliances are to protect Aspara.
As soon as she said Nyogi, you went over to
I know.
Shakara.
Yeah.
But it's
so then I told you all about the whole plan. I told you.
So how long have I been with the party? Like 2 weeks? 10 days? 7? I spent a year hunting down Nyogi. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it made sense as a character to be intrigued by that.
I think you as a character are all about the Nyogi. This other stuff is just something that came up. The Kraken and everything else came up in your quest.
100%, and it was good to not be an alone adventurer. Like, I obviously encountered more and have learned more in the last couple weeks with you guys.
Right. Yeah.
As soon as you heard Nyogi, you're all about that.
Well, because I literally went from town to town and bar to bar asking about Nyogi, and no one had heard about him, right? Or, like, knew anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I think 100% you would be wipe the Nyogi
And I think
out.
I would, like, Mia's pretty open. I think she would have explained to you what she was looking into. But, you know, there was a lot happening right away when I joined the party.
I think you're looking at a situation where are you aligning yourself with? The nuclear war, the United States versus the Russians versus, you're where do you go? Do you go to Isabella, who's obviously been, not a good person to follow, or Samuel Cultus, which we really don't know much about other than he's raping the land, right? So not good. Or the Nyogi, who's trying to mind control everybody. Is it good to align yourself with another evil to be able to wipe out the other evil?
It's interesting to think of it that way, because I do think that Mia she knows the power and some of the backstory with the Nyogi. I don't know that she would consider fighting the Nyogi lining up with someone else evil to take care of an evil. She would think, oh, we're the good guys then. I kind of think, yeah.
So Mia, you mean anybody against Nyogi is an ally of yours, regardless of...
Like, more than it would have been. Like, I definitely would second guess anything Shakar's telling me about Isabella and stuff more than I did before that information. Because I would think to myself about, like, the Nyogi and all that I know about them and think, wow, well, Heraklion, maybe we need those weapons. Maybe we need, like...
Right. Because from your perspective, the greater evil is a Nyogi. Greater evil than Isabella or Samuel.
Or the first evil in general, too. I'm not saying that I would all of a sudden be like, oh, I regret killing the Kraken or something, but...
No.
It's giving me pause, for sure. I don't know... Mia's easily swayed and young. I don't know that she's, like, considering Isabella an ally or considering her evil. It's humanizing her in Mia's eyes of, like... She realizes the threat that I realize.
So does Mia not think that aligning with Shakara makes her aligned with those that Shakara is aligned with?
Mia would probably choose to view it as more of a, like Shakara worded it, like, I align myself with saving Aspara.
Mm.
And I don't know what that means. I haven't really thought it through, but...
Yeah. Bill? You've been pretty quiet. I'm curious as to your thoughts on. We've got these three factions essentially. You've got the Coven. You've got Samuel Cultus, who've been around for 30 some odd years, raping the land, looking for something, and then you've got the Nyogi. Where do you fall?
Falzarin doesn't like any of them really, and he's not excited about potentially having to make a decision to ally with one of them in order to defeat another one of them that may be a bigger threat, but still, he doesn't want to get sucked into Samuel Cultus or the Coven. You know, he just finally got his way out of the Coven that he was never actually fully allowed into, but yeah, it's bad. This is bad.
Mia would be like, why was Isabella sucking the life out of Falzarin and blah, 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 blah. Well, she just wanted him to do something that he wouldn't do. So no, it's not great that she was sucking the life out of my friend or putting my other friend in a tough situation, but at the same time, like, Mia is her mind is changed partially or thinking twice about what to believe and who to believe because she has, in her mind for a year now, thought about Niyogi as bad guys.
And I never said we should trust Isabella.
Okay. Well,
and I actually did say we could go get the armor and we don't have to turn it over to her right away. We can look at it ourselves and see what it is.
You did say that, but I don't think
I'm not all in with Isabella.
I think we get the vibes of that, but whether we believe it, right?
Right.
Shakara's still trying to do what's best for Aspara. And Shakara did come back and tell you the whole freaking plan, so you should trust her because that's what you wanted her to do.
So I guess the question would be in Shaft's mind is we go get this armor, we give it to Isabella, we defeat the Niyogi, then what have we done?
Right.
Then we figure out the next step.
That's what concerns Falzarin.
We beat down the next threat.
The way I see it at that point is you've accomplished the goal for your what's his name? Dundar and Isabella, and now you have become one of the problems that we have to deal with.
Maybe.
That's the way Shaft is looking at it.
I definitely don't like that the towers and what I've heard of the cultists are like destroying the land. I'm pretty dang worried about the Niyogi though.
But part of the whole plan is to depower the towers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you going to pay Shaft to do that?
Well, that's something we'll have to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah. Because I really don't care about the towers. I got an amount of money that I'm going to get for putting those down. Maybe if you sweeten the deal, my alliances will change.
So are these problems becoming large enough where even Shaft can't ignore them in his eyes? Like, is there a point where, like, Shaft can just no longer turn a blind eye because that doesn't suit his best interest because everything's fucked if he does, right? Like, if he doesn't do something.
Everything's fucked right now, and I think that's the biggest, the thing that Shaft's frustrated with is no matter what he does, it's not going to be to his benefit at all. So the best thing, in his mind right now is to alleviate himself of all these problems. Why risk his life for something?
Is surviving and not being mind controlled to your benefit? I think so.
Yeah, like would an existential threat be enough for Shaft?
Because I think the Niyogi posed that threat.
To live as a slave under one of the other two rulers doesn't also benefit him either.
No.
Right? Which one is the worst?
That's the thing that Falzarin is very concerned about. Like, that we now have these incredibly powerful weapons that exist, which weren't a problem before, and it's pretty worrisome to the thought of leaving them in the hands of someone. I mean,
wouldn't you want those guns to shoot down the ships from the Niyogi?
Once the Niyogi are gone, what happens to the weapons?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
And can Tinnerman create more?
Sure.
Or does he need Drag?
Or does he need Drag?
Drag hasn't been back to the island in like 10 years. He's aligned himself with Samuel Cultus. He was building all kinds of stuff for Samuel.
Yeah.
Tinnerman was?
Yeah, we found that out.
Well, yeah,
Right.
The ability to make them into weapons seemed to, in my opinion, happen at their creation, which means Dreg was there. Dreg knew about the threat.
Yeah, did Tinnerman need the shield base built, which Dreg did, before he could turn him into weapons? Like, could he recreate the whole thing again?
Without Dreg.
Without Dreg?
I don't know.
Because it was Dreg's magic that powered the whole thing. Because Tinnerman doesn't power his creations. Something else is powering them.
True.
He
Right.
just creates them.
Yeah, but Shaft did see 5 of his soldiers hooked up directly to the anchor, the newly formed anchor as well. Although I don't, obviously that wasn't explicitly said to Shakara, though. But Shaft did explain that to Falsey and Mia for sure. So Tinnerman's found some way to power the anchors, right? Where I guess Dreg's way was more magical, and now Tinnerman has found a way that's more technological, I guess, for lack of a better term. How easily reproducible is that for Tinnerman?
I mean, essentially, we're put in a no-win situation. We have to back somebody
Right.
to be able to get rid of one evil, and then we're going to have to turn our alliances on the other. Which, by the way, Leland, fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's great writing. So like, how did we end up? Where do we leave it off?
Well, we had this whole discussion, and then Falsey kept having this cane pop into his hand, Alamar's cane, so he decided to investigate it.
Yeah, I was going
And that
to
didn't go so
say.
well.
Yeah, I was going to say, Shaft, if you need something to sweeten the deal, I have a really magical cane that you could have.
That's something that before we get too far into that, this well, let's finish and I'll comment. on
So
that.
where are we ending
Sorry.
the episode physically? In the Dusty Golden one?
Well, we're still
Yeah.
in the
Yes.
in the cell, and that's when it comes up that,
You're taking a long rest at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
and then Alamar starts talking to. We all hear it through Falzarin.
All right.
Yes. And Alamar essentially says, "You are now bound to me."
He was Alamar didn't like it any more than Falzarin does.
Oh yeah.
He was a little bit
That's-
disappointed when he realized who it was, wasn't he?
That's the part that I found really entertaining.
Bill is just... poor Leland, Bill...
Hey, like Dreg said, it could have been Dreg that had tried to figure out what it was like. You could have
Yeah,
handed it off to
that's
Dreg.
right.
Well...
Well, there you go. There's your other evil, a lich.
So,
Do
yeah.
we use a
Look.
lich?
Look,
A lich in the making.
Can I ask you, what did you think it possibly could have done when you went to identify it? This is something that granted, you were told by Geneva that if Alamar was to have something that would serve as a phylactery, it would probably be his cane.
Right.
But and then you also saw Alamar did try to use it to summon his shield guardians that you had dispatched already. But what else, what do you think it might have been able to do? I know Mia was like, maybe it can heal me, pointed at me or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was
I
absurd.
thought maybe it had some spells stored in it or something, but
Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't have thought they'd be healing spells.
100% Bill was like, this is a magical wand that I've always wanted.
I honestly wondered if it was something along those lines. It had some ability to cast spells innately or via being charged, something of that sort.
You thought it was
I
good.
I thought there was the possibility that it might be his phylactery, but I also thought that
I thought it'd be empty if it was a phylactery.
Right.
Because he
I
didn't go
thought
through
that
with the
he wasn't
ceremony.
he wasn't able to successfully do what he needed to do in order to create the phylactery and inhabit it. I thought that that whole process was kind of hindered and prevented from happening.
And he was dead.
So,
Right.
yeah, you prevented him from taking the elixir, which would have transformed his physical body into the lich, right? But you don't know what he had or the progress he made on his phylactery. Obviously, that's clear now that it's still capable of at least storing his soul. And he is saying, get me back to my body. So, but you don't know what do you think would happen if you reunited the cane with Salardo right now?
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
He's looking for us all the time. That's his single purpose.
Could Alamar's spirit push out Sardos' spirit? Because he has a better claim to the body?
Who the
You
hell
look
knows?
on your right butt cheek, I know you have a mole shaped like a wand. That's my body you're in.
That's my wand mole.
I don't want to find out.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I will tell you
Poor
that
Bill.
had Falzer not been an ape, you probably would have found out in the knowledge center. Right? But because
Oh.
everything on Falsey was transformed, it was so he was hearing
Oh,
kind of the
yes.
weird echoes way in the back of his mind as he was in his ape form. But if you had been in your regular Falsey form, who knows what would have happened in that knowledge center. And I mean, obviously, I know what would happen, but that's actually what at the time I needed to take a second to pause. Of like, okay, wait a second, he's an ape right now. What do I do with this? So that's actually kind of how it resulted. Now you're bound to the spirit of him. That wasn't the original plan. Let me tell you. That was just like, well, this kind of makes sense that this happens now.
The worst possible union ever.
Okay, let me ask all of you. Let me pose this question to all. Bill first, I suppose, but all of you. Do you think that there could be any possible upside of having Alamar and Alamar's knowledge with you now at all times?
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
If he's willing to share with us.
Right, yeah.
And work with us.
Yeah, is he a
It really
friendly
hinges
guy?
He doesn't
on-
like me much.
Yeah, but how much? Like, you literally have the ultimate leverage over him, right?
Can we kill him?
He can't do anything but try to convince you to take him to his body.
So we could just ignore him.
Shaft would be a lot more successful.
I mean, do we align ourselves with a lich to be able to get rid of the other evils?
Seems like a terrible plan.
We've never liked Alamar.
Mia, if the lich guarantees that he would get rid of all the Neogi, and all he wants to do is rule Heraklion, how do you feel about that?
Somebody else's problem eventually.
The thing that I am unsure of is, so we destroyed his elixir, which would allow his body. Basically, it's the final piece of the puzzle. You need a phylactery and you need the elixir.
Okay, so Falzarin, Falzarin, you made it a point to find information about it, and you found some info in Alamar's secret library about liches in the process. Like, you know that, like, the elixir would have basically was the key to unlock the power that would come with lichdom, right? So you know that Falzi would be able to know that a reunification with Alamar's spirit and Alamar's body would not result in a fully formed lich because he still has yet to go through the ceremony of night taking the elixir. So you know that is still prevented, but you still But he still has that
goal. If you put his soul back, if you put his soul back into his body, and let's say, that happens, that reunification goes smoothly and he's now alive again. That's going to be he's going to be single-minded in trying to achieve that again. So it's just creating another problem.
But him and Isabella might kill each other, so someone could kill the other one.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Doubt it. I think they would probably work together. Well, unless Isabella wouldn't give up control.
I don't think so. I think they're
Heraklion.
anti each other.
They both want to control Heraklion. But Isabella could probably be convinced to go somewhere else to control a different part of the world.
No, Isabella's not going to be told what to do.
That island is special.
Yeah, why? We still don't know why.
Why?
We're never going to know the answer to all these questions, even when we're done.
Oh, yes, we will. I have faith.
It's not how Leland works.
After the very last episode, we're like, okay, Aspara chapter is done completely, then Leland will tell us, maybe.
I doubt it. He likes the mystery.
Isabella is an arrogant bitch that thinks that she controls everything. So much so that she just treats us all like we're little play toys.
Plebs.
Yes.
And I think she felt the same way about Alamar.
But if he becomes a lich, wouldn't he be more powerful than her? I would think she would have to respect that power. She would be forced to respect that power. I see her more as like a bully, somebody that likes to pick on little people, but if somebody bigger comes along, she's going to run.
So problem solved. We just wait till Sardos comes to us. We let Alamar go into his body. We don't have to worry about the Revenant anymore. He goes and kills Isabella. Problem
Assuming
solved.
Alamar can kick Sardo out of his body.
Then Alamar can take care of the Neogi for us.
I don't think he would.
Done.
I don't think he would take care of the Neogi.
Chapter
As long as the
3
Neogi aren't on
comes to
Heraklion.
It would never work out that smoothly.
Yeah, I don't think there's an easy, smooth solution to our multitude of problems.
Well, what does Falsey want to do about the phylactery? I mean, you could potentially try to destroy the phylactery. Try to find a way how to destroy it. It would take some immense power to do so, but you could.
Right. I think it's kind of a bit lower on the list of his problems right now. It's just it's an annoying nuisance that's going to harass him on a daily basis. But
I think I even say in the episode, imagine trying to sneak up on somebody. You're walking around and be quiet.
That's
what are you doing, Falzarin?
We all heard Alamar's voice. It wasn't just Falzarin.
That's what I mean. Alamar can make noise when we're trying to be sneaky. Alamar can cause all kinds of problems for us.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, leave the stick somewhere else.
He can't. Doesn't
He
work
can't.
like that.
Oh.
He did stow it in
teleports
his
right back to my hand.
bag of holding. You put it in your bag of holding.
But he
for a
still
while.
talked after he put him in the bag of holding, even on another plane.
Well, was that Leland having fun, or was...
It's canon now, regardless of what I was doing.
Yeah, either way, it's now canon.
That was the whole point of Shaft.
What's
saying
that
stick
bag
it in
of
another- in the
devouring?
bag.
Where's that bag of devouring that we...
Yeah, we need to find that.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
Where's-
We
If
didn't
only
get
you
it.
guys had bought
Where
that.
is it? Can we go back and look?
It's missing now. After the Battle of Heracleon.
All right, we're going
I'm sure
shopping.
we can go to-
destroyed.
Magic, magic, magic. I'm sure we'll have one for a very fair price.
I need to write Mom and Dad for some money. Because I don't have money. Can they e-transfer in Aspara?
Bags of devouring have went up tenfold.
They're
And
not
we know you
bad.
don't have any money. That's right.
You know how your revenants are running around?
One. Although there are doppelgangers out and about.
Oh god, we haven't even
somewhere
talked about that
still.
shit. Yeah, there's a whole nother
Have you been
mess
adding
that we
all the
have
new
to-
stuff to your whiteboard of confusion and the...
I wiped it clean because it got too confusing.
It is confusing, and I wonder if Leland is actually keeping track of it all, or...
Oh, I absolutely know he is. I absolutely know he is. He's had things planned for some time that we just haven't picked up on until they become clear.
That is true.
He's not answering.
No, that's I was
He
just
didn't
taking a
have to
drink.
answer.
That is true.
I know
That
he
is
does.
true. Yeah, yeah.
You can tell the way things play out. Whenever something unfolds, I'll think back and I'll go, "You bastard! You had that."
It was there the whole time.
That's right. That's what makes him such a great DM. He picks up on small
true.
things very early on, and plants these little seeds that we don't pick up on, and then later.
Yeah, part of
on-
the problem's us. We suck.
Well, not necessarily. I just don't think you don't pick up on things because you don't know the whole story yet.
Exactly.
In his mind, he has the whole story.
Right.
It's like watching The Sixth Sense. The second time you watch it, it's not the same because you know.
Exactly.
And you pick
Yeah,
up on all the little
exactly.
things.
How do you know something has significance without context?
Right.
So, what's the significance of this piece of armor that we need to get?
I don't know.
What's the significance of the towers raping the land looking for this armor?
We don't even know that it's looking for the armor necessarily.
Yeah.
He's looking
It's
for the
only-
armor. The towers are destroying the land.
I
It could be two separate
believe
things.
he's looking for one last
Looking
piece.
for
Is the
something.
way I understood it.
That's right. Yeah.
And and we happen to know it's in.
I
Mount
know
Necrosis.
he's looking for this one piece, and he has other pieces already. I don't know if he has the whole set, and this is the last piece. I did not say that.
Oh,
I said
okay.
we're going to go find this one piece for him, and he has other pieces already.
Well, all I know is you're not going to find it without Shaft at this point in Mount Necrosis, or it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah. Shaft definitely is an asset for that quest.
So, I just have to figure out why I want to help you, or who I want to align myself with.
Magical cane, man. Just think of the power.
Damn it, Falzred! Every time I get you where I could finally feel like we're a team, you get something slapped on the side of you that keeps
I
you.
know.
I do kind of feel bad about how this played out for Foster.
I think it's interesting. And a little
But
bit
should we feel
humorous.
bad? Let's argue about it for like 30 minutes. Let's go.
Yeah, this is I mean, my three favorite episodes. My new three favorite episodes.
These are the 3 best episodes yet.
These are the 3 best episodes of Chapter 3 by far.
By far. Bar none.
By a long shot.
Ah.
In fact, it's uncontestable that these are the 3
Uncontested
best
That's right.
best
so far.
episodes.
I don't know what the hell you are going to, like, what happens next. I don't know what session 115 is going to look like.
Yeah, because we haven't played any beyond this.
I think
right?
the 4 of us need to
That's
have
right.
a little Discord chat, and we'll get back to you on that.
You do, yeah, absolutely you should.
Actually, we'll let John and Emily hash it out at home.
Well, Shakara's mind is very clear. We're going to go to Mount Necrosis, and we're going to find the armor, and we're going to look at it and see what makes it so special. And then we're going to decide if we give the armor to Isabella or not.
And I think Shaft at this point is and he had a moment with Falzern that said, I want to make sure you have my back if things go south here with Shakara. That's the only thing he wanted to know, and he said, I will play along.
Yeah, I think Falzarin tried to make it clear that if Shaft picks a fight with Shakara, he doesn't want to get involved with that. But if Shaft's being attacked without good reason or for the wrong reasons, he's not going to stand by and not protect his friend.
Mia?
Well,
Where do you stand?
Did you actually ask me, or we just spitballing here?
No, I'm just asking you in the after party. How do you think Mia aligns herself with Shakara, Shaft, or Falzarin at this point?
If someone gets in the way of protecting Aspara, Mia's against them. Mia's alliance is all with protecting Aspara. Friends
Fair
with you
enough.
guys, sure. Defending the defenseless, sure. But like, again, like kind of Bill said, you guys fight amongst each other. Like, I don't know, Nyogi was my objective, you know? As rough as that is of a character choice to make, right?
No, I think it's great that we all are very weary of the situation.
Oh, it's like anyone, like, I do think that after this situation and leaving Heraklion, does anyone fully trust anyone? I don't know. Maybe you and Falzarin.
I mean, but Shaft can only trust Falzarin so much because he's got an Alamar stuck to him.
True. So, like, it's just a free-for-all right now, where Mia...
Shakara does not trust Shaft at all.
Right, and Mia's never fully trusted Shaft or Shakara at this point. She's always felt like Falzarin tries to do the best he can, and, like, knows he aligns more good than anyone, but, like, I don't know, Alamar changes things. Like, it does.
Well, you said you're going to keep your eye on him.
Well, at this point, any conversation you're having with Falzarin, you're having with Alamar.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Alamar's able to probably listen to all of what we say.
Oh, yeah.
If we can
absolutely.
hear him through the bag, he can hear us, is what I would assume.
He said it very clearly that, basically you can't get rid of the shaft, the staff. You can't get rid of it. You can't break it. You can't.
You can't get rid of the shaft.
You can't get rid of the shaft.
All
the
right.
staff.
Yeah, I don't know,
Right?
guys. This is just, it's like, I hate these feelings of like, what the heck are we supposed to do? But I also love that Leland wrote such a good campaign that we actually have tough decisions to make.
Oh,
It would be
absolutely.
so boring to be like, oh, this is the obvious thing to do. It's not so obvious in this campaign, for sure. I have nothing to compare it to, but...
Well, to me, it just feels like the chickens are coming home to roost. Really.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
For all of the
mother
decisions
truckers.
that have been made as a party with the various members, it's just like everything's just like finally, well, because this happened here, that's why this is happening as a result. Oh, you stopped this from happening. That's great. So that's gone. But you didn't stop this. So this is why. And
There's been a ticking clock.
Why
Yep.
you didn't stop this, right? Like, yeah.
You said a long time ago there was a calendar or a clock ticking in the background, and
There
you
are
had
set
things that were
events,
happening separately from wherever we were. And I've always kept that in mind that that's why Shaft is always going, let's get going.
Yeah, go,
'Cause
go.
we always have something that's happening, apart from us. And I was always, my thought was it's always the towers. Something's going to happen with those towers if we don't get back to them. And I mean, I don't know at this point, but I wasn't focused on the Nyogi, but apparently.
I mean, I think in
There's
this
a lot
last
more going
episode,
on there.
Mia's eyes are finally open to all the different things going on. She's been partially allowed into some conversations and knowledge, but it feels like I finally know the bigger picture while being completely confused on like what to do and what, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like maybe I think you guys are just finding this out for the first time too. What, like,
I think you just ask pointed questions while we're actually recording. Ask those questions like, did you join the coven? And then if people are.
I mean, I guess I
avoiding the
did. I don't
question
remember, but I
or-
guess I did.
No, but I mean, you ask Shaft and ask Falzarin those pointed questions. What do you know about the Nyogi?
Falzarin, have you been stroking your cane or what?
Well, we all know that. I sleep next to him. I know what's going on.
Why do you think my hands are covered in splinters?
I love it, Falzarin. I love it.
No, it's more like,
Is that Alamar's voice?
It's Alamar's voice.
I love it,
There you go. Leland, you do it.
Oh my gosh, this is a long after party.
Okay.
All right. Woo.
All right, so I think that wraps up those 3 episodes, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to chat a little bit about anything else that we have going on. The one shot, the Christmas episode.
Yeah, Elena DM for the first time.
we don't have to talk about that. It's fine.
I think we should. I think you did a fantastic job, and it was very fun. I had a great time.
Me too. Did you enjoy
I
it,
just
Elena?
wanted you guys to have fun and like not be lying to me about it. So that makes me happy.
It was
No.
fun.
It was great. It was a lot of fun.
I had a lot more pre-jitters than I thought I would have had. But being prepared also paid off, and I felt like it was more fun once. I know the snowman combat was kind of quick, but it kind of helped me get out the like jitters and fall into a rhythm of just like going with whatever. And I don't know. There was definitely like, first of all, credit to Jessica for helping me come up with a lot of the storyline main points, and then Skjelm for helping me like flush through maybe some good ideas for combat and how to do it, and just sort of just talking about DMing in general. He did a really good job of helping me. But I do think there were things that Jessica and Skjelm were surprised to hear, because they weren't discussed. I just came up with it on the spot. So
Yeah.
I agree with Leland where, like, you guys made my job easy at times, like, because as Mia or myself, I'm just always trying to, like, think of the next quick quip to throw in there, but you guys are just saying the jokes for me. Like, Grimby was hilarious.
I do like playing Grimby, yeah.
I finally got my brothers to listen to the podcast for the first time, listening to my one-shot, and they thought Grimby was the best. Like, just loved him as a character.
He's a good character.
And I was like, I
he's a
can't
good
tell
character.
Leland. I'm going to inflate his ego even more.
Not like beating elves over the head. I really like it.
Oh, God, that was fun.
I don't know. Bill
Yeah,
Bill
that
saw the
was
prep
really
and
good.
the nerves at home, but I don't know. I had fun.
I'm curious as to, once the adventure started,
Yeah.
how long did it take before it just fell into where you just were not worried about it anymore and just having fun?
I think probably about the time that, like, Grimby was standing in the middle of the path and I had the abominable Yeti pop out.
Mhm.
Like, because I basically knew that these snowmen were going to have the hit points and the AC that I wanted them to have, and that their attacks were basically going to be to whelm you and push you and not really damage you, and, you know, so that you are, what's the word again? Where you, like, if you were to run away, you get opportunity attacks and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I did start feeling bad for Grimby because he was taking a beating. But he also, like, single-handedly killed that Yeti. So.
Yeah, it took him a couple turns to get going, but...
And then for sure, by the time I was talking like Pepper the Penguin and changing my accent every 5 seconds, and Leland and John started wrapping up bonking the elves, like, I was like, all right, this is going to be fine. Like,
Right.
maybe a half hour or more, but I mean, combat takes a while. I really do think that Leland did a great job editing, because it makes, in my head, it just feels so slow, and then when you listen to it back, it's different. It was very well edited, so.
Well, I think generally for a live, like for any live play podcast, like I think for me, is personally listening, the make or break is how the combat flows in the final cut, really, because that is where the game stalls.
Right, and my brothers were like, wait, so you're like rolling and coming up with these, and I was like trying to explain the edit, and they're like, that makes sense. Like, it just sounds so fluid, he couldn't even tell that that's what was happening. And that's where it's more story driven, and I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
I think also, like, for me, like, whenever I play like a one shot, it's always so much easier, I think, for the whole table, because you know you're there, regardless of what character you're playing or their character traits. Like, you're there to do a thing. You're there to do the thing that the one shot is designed around. Like, there's no real deviation. I mean, obviously, there's myriad ways you could potentially go about solving whatever that end goal is for the one shot, but
Right.
like, it's the one shot. So the players should be driving their characters towards accomplishing that, which also makes it a lot easier on the dungeon master and the person running the game.
So, like, I remember the one-shot ending, And Bill was like congratulating me and everything. And he's just like, I think I just don't like one-shots. And I think it was easier because you played Falzarin, so you liked the character that you played, right? But wouldn't you agree, Bill, like one-shot's not your preference? We discussed this.
Yeah, one-shots tend to be, and this is with the caveat that I have a fairly small amount of experience, but they tend to have more focus on combat and riddles and puzzles, which aren't my favorite things.
Well, I tried not to
in
make it too
role-playing.
puzzly, because I knew personally I didn't like the puzzly.
I'm not trying to point fingers or find fault with anyone who's done a one-shot for us, but I think that that's just what I'm not sure how else you can do a one-shot, really. Like, it doesn't lend itself to having a big character arc that spans over months and months. Like,
well, yeah, like how do you
that's not
throw
possible
people in
one-shot.
an empty world and say like explore and come up with something that's ending in 4 to 5 hours?
You can't.
For instance, what Leland touched on is like there's a million different ways people are going to do things. So I knew that the snow globe at the top of the tree would be discovered at some point and would be like the thing you need to break. But how are you going to break it, right? So like the inscription on it saying like to spread Christmas cheer, sing loud for all to hear was like if you were to sing a carol in character, like you would have broke the spell. Easy.
Yeah, I picked
You
up on
should've
that.
known that
and I
was
But
wasn't
no
gonna
one was
say
going to do that, and that's fine. The other thing, like to get across the Butterscotch Brook, again, it's kind of bringing in some human knowledge of the Santa Claus story, but like the reindeer fly, you could have flew the reindeer across.
Or you could jump on Grimby's back. That always works.
Right? That
Works every
was,
time.
and then
60%
on
of the time works
and on
100%
the
of the
spot
time.
being like, so Shaft finds some snow or something. I'm like, we're inside. So then I like, so on the spot,
That was
making you
good,
tar and
the
feather,
artificial
like
So
on the
funny.
spot, eating the milk and cookies, magically
funny.
transporting you. Like that wasn't planned. The elevator wasn't planned. Like I just threw in, the role play became so fun and sort of classic Incorrigible Party that I tried
Yep.
to make more of those role play moments happen instead of just like, you get there, you go through the candy cane forest, the end. It was like, oh, I'm going to bring you to a forking path. That's hilarious. That's Incorrigible Party, like,
Yeah.
101.
Well, I mean, that's the benefit of you running the game for us that we've been playing
Right.
for almost 2 years now. And that's also, that is the type of game that all 5 of us like to play
Right.
as well. The more RP driven stuff. I feel like, to Bill's point, a one shot in a vacuum is going to be the boiled down version of every element of a tabletop role playing game. In particular, in Dungeons and Dragons, there is role play, combat, and puzzles. Like those are the three major
Right.
elements, right? And when you have those that refined isn't the word, because refined implies something positive, I think. You know what I mean? Like
Condensed.
condensed, yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's
Exactly. It's
condensed,
all
that's right.
just there. And then again, comparing it to our show, we are obviously incredibly role play heavy, and with these other two elements sprinkled in, when the role play either needs a break or when it makes sense as a result of the role play, that is what I find is really what drives our combat scenarios. Because, this, I think we've talked about this before. At least I have droned on about this before in an after party. That because it's a live play show, but also because I don't like necessarily having a random encounters table, even if we weren't recording. Like we don't do that. You don't just stumble upon a monster out in the wild and fight it, because for that day's session, let's throw in some combat so we all get
Because we can't even get a long rest, man. Like, let's go.
right. But like, I like the plot-driven games, or how I like to run my games, and I like every instance that can still be random, but to be able to be impactful in other areas other than, oh, we just killed the monster that we found.
Right.
So there were several important things that I think made it a success in my eyes, which was playing with familiar people that were used to each other, used to the characters. Like, I was nervous for the recording part, I guess, but then playing around a holiday that I was extremely excited to like create the world around. That leading into the fact that I was excited and volunteered and said, I want to do this. right? Like, it all just felt like it came together in a way that as soon as I was at ease because I was with you guys around a Christmas holiday where I know Christmas references all over. I could pull into it, right? And I wanted to do it.
I think what I was getting at is as of somebody who's never DM'd before, if you were to give advice to somebody who has never DM'd before, to say you got to rely on the players to sort of take the reins a little bit and not have all the pressure on you as a DM to have to come up with everything. The players are going to, it's part of their job to drive the story as much as it is your job to set the setting.
But I could play with 4 other people. It could fall flat and they don't do it.
You're right.
And there will be mistakes if I ever DM for people I don't know as well, in a situation I don't know, a pre-written one-shot, whatever, right? But I feel more confident
exactly
to on the spot be like, well, too late. You can't decide anymore. The train drove away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just have to create some conflicts even to just push them to decide or make a choice.
I think a lot of people would love to play D&D, but nobody wants to be the DM. And to be
definitely.
Have that fear of failure as a DM should not all lay on your shoulders. It should be the group that does it to make the enjoyment of the entire episode to be fun. And I think a great way to do that is a one shot, to be able to get your feet underneath of you a little bit, to realize it's not all on your shoulders. And I'm hoping that after your first experience that you come out of that going, hey, I don't mind. I would do this again. It was fun.
And I would do it again. I would do it in a heartbeat with you guys. With other people, though, yeah, let's go. And maybe I'll have to, like, work harder or pull back more or feel it out. But it's doable. And literally at the end of it, you walk away. I would hope, like, there was some part of it that was fun. Maybe you're not into the puzzles or the combat or whatever.
So most importantly, now Bill's going to DM.
Exactly. Most importantly.
Silence ensues.
You're going to DM a space-themed one-shot. Okay, pew pew.
Yeah.
There we go. I think you were spoiled, Elena, with your first.
It made it easy to say yes to do it again, though, because you guys were lovely.
So I think even comparing your experience to Emily's experience when we did the clock tower, at that point in our show's history, even at that time, I would say, like, just to the same reasons that you were saying, Elena, of how it made it easier. I think Emily could probably say the same, come up with the same reasons, right, and probably feel the same way. Maybe a little more generalized, but at that part in our show, even then, we were all still young in the show's, like, the show was in its infancy with the personal relationships the 5 of us have grown and built upon since, and also the way how used to we all were to each other's role play at that time was still a baby. We were still babies.
Well, and again, we're playing new characters too, where it's like, is McRibbon a talker?
That's
obviously
also true.
not.
That's
like,
also true.
Bill didn't want to do an accent. Like, there's just different things.
Right, but here is exactly what John was saying. The 5 of us can always rely on each other because the 4 of you are great players. You are fantastic players because regardless of the character that you were playing, with the flaws, ideals, bonds, personality across whatever system you're playing, whatever your character, you've built it, you still know that the characters need to drive the plot. Because many people could sit at the table as their character, wait for the person running the game. Again, system doesn't matter. They can wait for the game master to make something happen. Characters need to be able to make things happen. And a good game master needs to know and feel out, like you were saying, if you were to play with strangers, Elena, they need to know that when they can let the characters drive and when they need to drive.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Like that's so much it. That's literally what it boils down to. If you want to have a great game, that's what the table needs to boil down to. And I think we are very, very fortunate in this group that we have a group like that. We don't have a single one of us in the group that is like the weak link for again, that's that could be harsh if you may are listening and have a group where you could probably point to the person that is the player that sits at the table and lets things happen and doesn't help to facilitate things happen.
Or react, or like, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, personally, do I think I'll ever have some crazy campaign concoction with like this timeline of events like we're encountering in Aspara? Probably not. But would I, if asked by some close friends, like, do you want to play something? We need a DM though. Like, sure, let's go. Let's try it. Like, I feel more comfortable jumping into it because I was fortunate enough to play with you guys. And anyone listening at home, it's doable. You don't know the rule. Like, I was corrected several times. Like, just tell your players, like, listen, we want to play correctly, but
this is the way I'm going to go with it this time.
Like maybe I find myself able to come up with a story, but yeah, do I have the DM manual memorized? No. So like, let's all help each other out.
Right.
Get around a table, find out what's most fun for us, and focus on that aspect of the game.
Let's tell a story about going and saving Santa Claus.
Right? I think the theme helped a lot.
I'm always really surprised when I hear fairly often people who have anxiety about DMing. It's because they're worried that they don't know the rules, because I honestly don't care whether I know the rules or not. Like, that's so far down the list of things that I worry about with DMing.
You were going to say, I honestly don't know the rules.
I don't. I know some rules, but I am far from
rules.
knowing all of them, right?
Exactly, right?
And I honestly don't care, because the rules are there to help keep things balanced. But even in the absence of anyone around the table knowing the way a particular rule works that applies to a current situation, the DM just makes it a judgment call that's the most fair in the moment, and you just roll with
Right,
it.
like, you didn't kill a snowman, but I'm gonna say, you know, he can't move anymore. Like, it just, like, came to me on the spot.
Yep.
It felt more natural than I thought it would. But I do think if I didn't prepare, yeah, like, I don't know, first-time DMs, just prepare a bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Play it out.
I think to your credit, you did a very good job of preparing. Like Leland had mentioned,
I spent probably, like, 10 hours, you guys. Like,
you knew your bad guys very well. You knew their attacks and actions and all that sort of thing, and that can really stall things and slow things down if you're reading the whole time, because combat can already drag as it is.
first of all, you guys thumping the elves on the head made my night. That was amazing roleplay, and I loved it. But one regret is that when we got into the Mouse King, I was afraid after the Yeti to summon swarms of rats too soon. But then without having other bad guys to split your attention, you guys were giving a ton of damage right away to this Mouse King. And all of a sudden he was like almost dead. And so I did have to like fudge numbers and try to swarm things. And like combat is hard to balance. I can see where Leland even now, especially with higher level characters, is like, how do you balance that? Like you do it for years and years. Leland's done this for a long time.
Absolutely.
But, you guys made my first experience great. My cherry is popped.
No. I wasn't. I was just going to let it go.
I had to.
One question from David Dave. Super McDad.
Oh, I remember what he said. He said, how many times did you have to swear at your...
How much swearing from Elena did Leland have to cut out as she wrangled you jokers?
And do you think he cut out swearing in that one shot? No, he left it all in.
I don't remember.
Elena doesn't
I don't
swear.
remember anything.
I say fudge muffins, Dave. Okay? It's fine.
Language, Elena.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. I choose to have other words than the F word, people. It's fine.
You know
their
what?
own.
This is way off topic, but David Dave reminded me of it. I would just like to give a shout out to all of the lovely people who made New Year's Eve fun. And thank you to all of those who had the initiative to suggest that we get together and do some voice chats on the Discord server with a handful of folks in there. And
Yeah.
video chats.
good time.
Yeah. David Dave joined while he was at the beach with his kids, and we had...
Made us all jealous of his...
We
Yeah.
saw the fireworks in
Location.
Copenhagen at midnight.
That
and
was really
like,
cool.
Incorrigibles, you listeners have made 2020 like way more bearable. Our Discord is constantly active. I just love our listeners.
Yeah. It was very touching to me to see that. I wasn't able to participate or join for very long at all because I had to work, but it's really nice to know that was happening.
Yeah, it's a good group.
It was fun.
Our listeners, man.
I love our little community.
Community. 100%. 2021. Let's go. I keep saying let's go.
Visit CordialParty.com to join our Discord.
Exactly. Join our Discord, listeners. It's so fun.
Don't fuck it up.
Don't be a jerk and ruin it.
Okay.
All right, we're hitting 2 hours, and I got to pee really bad. So let's.
I wonder why.
Yep.
Yeah. I wonder why too. All right. So I'm gonna. Unless you guys have anything else you want to say, I want to wrap this up.
I just want to say I hope you all had happy holidays, and we're hoping for the best 2021 yet. Woo!
Agreed.
The best 2021
Exactly.
yet.
Nowhere to go but up.
It's true.
All right, I've been John and Shaft.
I've been Emily and Shakara.
I'm Elena. I play Mia.
I've been Bill and Falzarin.
And I'm Leland Steele. Happy adventuring. Wow,
Bingo.
first try.
First try. Oh, I only saw a little bit of John's crack there. Nice. When he stood up. Woo! Jonathan!